For me, I'll never forget it. I once got a note from a child. Notes from children are very genuine. And she goes, my name used to be Fantastic Baby Teacher. Sorry. So it's like, Fantastic Baby Teacher, I used to feel something dirty when I first met you, but now, you're the best teacher in the world.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Melanated Files. My name is Ranzo and I'm your host, and today we're joined by Chelci Chuu, right here in Seoul. We're gonna hear her story today. Are you ready? Chelci.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So tell us where you're from and why did you come to Seoul or South Korea?
Okay. So first, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, USA, and I moved to Korea about 7 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Why did I do that? So I graduated actually film school in 2010.
Nice.
And then from there, I really enjoyed the Korean entertainment industry. So I was like, oh man, I want to kind of give it a try. I want to go over there and just do it. And so, and then I did it.
Okay. So what do you enjoy about the Korean entertainment industry? What drew you to it?
So many things. I particularly really like Korean dramas.
Okay.
So I will say I'm kind of obsessed with it. So I really like the storytelling style, and I like the quality of the dramas.
Okay.
So I really wanted to kind of come over and just see what it was all about, because there's magic to it, right, behind the scenes. It's the same in Hollywood, it's the same in the industry, anywhere. So I just also want to kind of see how it all comes together, and how it's all made as well. Yeah. Okay.
So what do you do in Korea right now?
I'm fun employed.
You're fun employed. I've never heard that term before. That's a good term. Okay. Tell us about it.
Well, before now, I was a children's musical theater performer.
Okay.
Yeah. So learning a lot of songs, performing and traveling all over Korea for the little children. And then before that, my longest career was teaching English here in Korea. So a little mixture of things. Ultimately, I do want to work in entertainment. I'm still trying to keep that dream alive, but you have to put food on the table. So it's like
So you said fun employed, right?
Yeah, I did.
Wait, is that because my interpretation of that is you're doing something that you love. Is that what?
No, that means I'm unemployed.
Oh, because I thought that's why I was like, wow, because I thought you said fun employed, which means you're doing something that you love. Because I'm like, oh, that's a good way to put it.
Oh, thank you. No, that's a good way to put unemployment.
Okay.
In Korean, it's 백수.
Okay, so what are you looking forward to? You're looking forward to enter the entertainment space, right?
I think long term, I'm looking forward to entering the global entertainment space. But for now, I just want to take a break. I just need a breather. I just need to reconnect and balance my energy. That's kind of what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
Also, I decided to go back to school for my master's in performance.
Okay.
So just making, better foundation for what I want to do.
So you're in school right now?
I'm taking private lessons while researching scholarships to go into school.
Okay. The thing I'm trying to wrap my mind around is because you're here, and usually there's something that anchors you here. What anchors you to South Korea?
I think a lot of people would agree that South Korea, you can live very comfortably here. It's very comfortable. It's very convenient. and they call pali pali, which means like quickly. So everything here is fast. I mean, there's pros and cons to that, but for the most part, like you can order something and it'll arrive the next day. You know, exceed like the 편의점. I gotta apologize in advance. I'm gonna be speaking random languages. I apologize.
That's okay.
Because these days I'm actually watching Chinese dramas too.
Okay.
And so I'm picking up Chinese. I apologize. I'm going to be speaking all different kind of languages in this interview.
As long as you can interpret, translate.
I will translate what I'm saying. I'm speaking Chelci. I really apologize in advance. Convenience store. Convenience store. Things like the convenience stores, there's one on every corner. They're open 24 hours. Like you can get anything, anywhere, anytime. So I think for a lot of people, when they come here, it's just very comfortable, easy. Health insurance is very affordable. So, yeah.
Okay. So you just said that you like languages. So are you a polyglot or bilingual or what are you?
I think I have polyglot tendencies.
What do you like the most about South Korea? And you know, before even that, what's your black experience like? Because I feel like you have something to say.
Do I look like I have something to say?
No, because the conversation we had earlier, I just want to see, like, because you said you have some things to say. I'm not sure in relations to what.
Not really.
Okay.
Well, I think because you already interviewed my friends. You interviewed Mel, you interviewed Jessica. They're friends of mine, actually. And I believe those two beautiful women are very articulate in explaining the black experience, more than me, because I'm still very much like, la, la, la.
But it's also a personal experience, right?
It's
because
true.
a lot of people in the comments that would say, well, my experience was different, but I'm like, it's individualized, right? It's not
so individualized,
so
very
like,
true.
Yes. So what's yours?
There are some people who get off the plane in Korea and have nothing but terrible experiences. And then there are people who get off the plane in Korea and have nothing but beautiful experiences with like terrible experience sprinkled in between. So it's really hard to say, honestly. For me personally, and people ask me, you know, of course they ask me like, oh, how do you survive there? Like, why are you there? How is it being there? You know, especially as a plus size black woman, just not as a woman, but as a black woman and as a plus size black woman wanting to work in entertainment, like what? That doesn't it doesn't fit, right? That's like puzzle pieces.
In their minds.
Yeah, right? I mean, a dream's a dream, ultimately. But with that being said, for me personally, I think what has saved me from a lot of heartache is coming with no expectations. I came with zero expectations. I knew a lot about the culture already. Because we do have a large Korean population in Atlanta.
I see.
But also, I guess because also I was learning other cultures with the languages before, so to me it wasn't like this big grandiose thing. So to me it was just like going from one place to another, because ultimately humans are humans, you know, and as a black person in America, extremely racist country, it's just like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Where do you go that it's not going to happen to you? So for me, I came with that mindset of I'm here for a reason. I'm here to work in entertainment. I'm here to, you know, kind of make my dreams come true and to live the life that, you know, I want to live. If people are going to get in the way of that, then I need to push those people aside. You know, I can't allow them to affect my energy. It would be the same in America too. So when it comes to the black experience, for me as somebody who's worked in entertainment, working in entertainment, I think I approach people in a different way. You know, it's not just like, oh, I'm an English teacher and I'm just living to survive. It's like, I have stuff I'm after, get out the way. So if I run into a racist person, or if I run into an issue dealing with culture, I'm very much willing to learn from it, and also explain to that person as well why that situation is inappropriate. So I will say I have learned language that way too. When you have something to say, don't you learn it, right? You're like, oh, how do I say I want to eat this? You learn it, right? How do I say, oh, you shouldn't say that to me? You learn it, right? So it's the same over time, you know, because I do get comments about my weight sometimes. They're like, oh, you're so cute, but if you lost weight, you look even better. And I'm just like,
they say that, eh?
Tokyo. So then you're like, okay, so how do I learn Heffa? You don't say that to me. You know, in Korean. Sorry, but yeah. And so I did start having conversations with Koreans, and I know many of my other melanin beauties will agree that it gets tiring. You don't want to have to educate every person you run across. You don't have to tell everyone that you should change your perspective and open your mind. And it's not our responsibility. So I educate based on what they call nunchi. Do you know? Have you heard of nunchi? Nunchi is like a type of intuition. So it's just like being able to read the atmosphere and read the room.
Oh, like read the air.
Yeah, read the air. Okay. So like if I know this person is going to be susceptible to what I'm saying, I'll say it. Okay. But if I know they're not, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to deal with what I need to deal with. I'm going to move on. And that, I believe, has kept me grounded while I've been here. And I think that's what's kind of safeguarded me from a lot of issues as well. So I wish I could be like, oh, I had this happen and this happen, but I think so far I'd rather be happy. So I handle situations and I deal with those situations a lot differently, I think.
Okay. When they see you, like, what's the response like? Is it based on what they've seen in the media, or they engage you as an individual with no preconceived notions as much as one can help like have it?
It's very different from person to person, surely. I mean, it's fun to generalize. However,
it's easy.
It's fun and easy to generalize. But at the same time, for me personally, you get those people, of course, that are just like, hey man, what's up, man? I'm just like, 안녕하세요. And they're just like, oh. And I'm like, oh, man. And so, or then they're like, oh, you're so cute, like that. So I think the reaction I get from people is quite different. Sometimes I think it also depends on the energy that I'm sending out as well. Like, you know, then they say the energy you put out, you get back sometimes. So I think sometimes like I'm just like, I'm positive all the time, you know. So even though occasionally a dark cloud will get in, I think I've been pretty good at blocking that energy. So for the most part, if somebody comes to me very much like, oh, yo, what's up? And I'm just like, hi. And I respond to them, and then they're like, oh. And you can see their mind like work. You can see the gears like, and they're trying to figure out what do I do now? She's like completely going against what I know. It's like Mayday, Mayday. What am I gonna do? And then I'm just like, oh, it's okay. It's nice to meet you. Da da da. And then suddenly I'm human to them. You know. Wow. So it's very much, I guess, your response to it as well. I don't want to victim blame. We should never victim blame, which I think is some people automatically will do. I think maybe people will be like, oh, so are you saying if we're just nice to them, it'd be okay? And I'm just like, no, if they want to be a racist, horrible person, this is what they're gonna be. But I don't have to absorb that energy, you know. And I think that is something that helps people when they deal with situations like that, and it helps you remain calm enough to handle the situation like that. And I think also you end up touching them somehow as well. You can do that as well. And then sometimes and then later, if you become friends, later they're like, oh, when I first met you, stereotype. But now I see, oh, and you're just like, oh, isn't that something? I'm human too, wow. You know, and especially as an English teacher, you'll get that because children are very impressionable. And so for me, I'll never forget it. I once got a note from a child. Notes from children are very genuine. And she goes, my name used to be Fantastic Baby Teacher. Sorry. So it's like, Fantastic Baby Teacher, I used to feel something dirty when I first met you, but now, you know, you're the best teacher in the world. You know? And so I was just like, wow. And it happens because they're human just as you're human, right? And sometimes you can touch them and sometimes you can't. And it's just like, okay, well, I can't touch that person, but maybe somebody else can, you know? And I think that's just the human in people. For us, I think we're tired. We're so tired. We're tired of the negative images. We're tired of the fact that we're not going around oppressing, but how somehow we're the horrible people. You're mimicking our style, and yet we're the horrible people. So let's not give up. Number one, let's not give up. Let's continue that positive energy, be who we are. We can't be anything less. We can't be, we can be more. Nothing less. We don't aim for anything less. And continue and just uplift each other. We're like starting to compete with one another. That community is broken. I think a lot of us, we are dealing with generational trauma. We don't know how to handle that. And I think we really need to support each other and help each other. Help ourselves, help other people as well. It's not easy. Some people are going to think, why should I? What have they done for me lately? Da-da, come on. Ooh, yeah. Okay, sorry. Sorry to break the serious moment. I hope I'm articulating myself well. I think because I'm not like an apologist. I'm not like everybody's wonderful, because that's naive. Not everyone's wonderful. No matter how hard we work, there's going to be somebody that's going to want to, just for fun, that's going to want to break it down. But we have to be able to build ourselves strong enough to where that energy doesn't,
withstand it.
Yes, we make that fortress. The problem with that, if you see historically, is when we do that, somebody comes and breaks it. So I think the question also is like, how do we fortify in a way that it can't be broken, because if you look at we made Black Wall Street and it was burned to the ground. It was bombed. Like physically they come in and destroy it. So I don't know, man.
What do you think about the entertainment industry here in Korea? Do you see a lot of Black people in it? Or, well, maybe not a lot, but do you see any?
I think it's very obvious how the entertainment industry works with foreigners here. You'll see a lot more Caucasian actors in roles for foreigners, no matter what's foreigner. And if you do see a person of color, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, 98% of the time, they're male.
Okay.
So actually, if I were to be in a drama or, cast in something, it'd actually be very abnormal.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it'd be very abnormal. And we're talking in ratio. Like, we're not like, if you have 5 shows and a Black woman only shows up in 1, like, that's nothing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people will say that as well. So when I mention this, even to Koreans, they're like, oh no, but that's that one show. And I was just like, how many shows come on TV a day? Like, can we do some?
So do you want to be in in dramas and stuff like that here? Like, what's your ambition for the next 3 years?
In 3 years, let's see. To be honest, my passion is for the stage. I enjoy musical theater. So I want to get my master's in performance.
Here, right? In Korea?
I'm deciding.
Okay.
Because the thing is Korea is comfortable, but it's too comfortable. After a while you become complacent. And that is very dangerous. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people who come. They become complacent. For me, so now I've been here for 7 years now. And so I have to put everything in front of me, and I have to make my pros and cons list. Do I stay? Do I go? What's going to happen? And you never know, right? You may book your plane ticket, and then you get a phone call like, oh, can you be in this movie? And you're like, and your life changes. Like, you never know. You make the plans, and then you remain flexible. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm making the plans, but remaining flexible.
Okay.
Yeah, but also, despite everything I'm saying, I too want to change it. I too want to be like, oh, hey, we're capable of doing this, And so I say a lot. I didn't mean to. I just realized that. No, when I talk to Koreans about my dream to work in entertainment in Korea, they're like, yeah, do it. Like, I'm your fan. Like, and they'll follow my Instagram. And they follow, whatever. And even taxi drivers. The best way to see social change is through having conversations with taxi drivers. This is the taxi driver phenomenon. When I first got to Korea, of course, my Korean was not that good. And the taxi driver always asks me, oh, are you married? How old are you? Da, da, da. And you're just like, why? I mean, of course I knew before I got here. Like that's stuff you learn before you get here. Like, oh, what are they gonna say and how do I respond to it? And I was just like, I was already ready. Like, I don't care about telling people my age. But I was like, the whole marriage and how many kids you have, and I'm just like, get off. But with that being said, after a while I started learning Korean, and I would have conversation before that. I'd be like, they were like, oh, you know, Africa saram? And I'm like, are you an African person? I'm just like, no, I'm from America. Great guess though. And then I was like, oh, you know, and they're like, oh, are you married? I was like, oh no, are you married? And they're like, oh yeah, of course I'm married, because at a certain age you have to be married. This is the culture. And then I would ask them, I was like, oh, 그러면은 꿈이 뭐였어요? What was your dream? And then suddenly the floodgates opened. Suddenly they were like, oh, I had a dream. I wanted to be on the national football team or the national baseball team, but I couldn't, or soccer. I had to make a family. And you find that so many of them just so discouraged because they couldn't make their dreams come true because they had to follow whatever society was telling them. And then suddenly the conversation started changing. And it was just like, eventually I stopped asking because my heart couldn't take it. It was just so sad, you know, so many of them. So many of them like traveled the world, like their resume is amazing, you know. And I was like, wow, these, you know, life gets you no matter who you are. And I think that's also changed the way I perceive things as well. But now I'll just be like, oh, they were like, you're from America? I was like, yeah. They're like, where are you going? And I was like, oh, I have a performance. My dream is to be on TV. And they're just like, oh, really? Good. You seem like a very nice person. Like, I hope you achieve your dream. You can do it. You know, fighting. And I was just like, he's like, oh, I'm your fan now. I'm like, oh, thank you. So, and those are the experiences I've been having. Recently.
So what plays have you been in here? You said you did like a sort of circuit almost, kids performances?
Ah, okay. I heard circus. That's not what she said. I was just like, circus. Circus. So I worked with Arirang TV, which is a television station here.
Okay. I
did some global corresponding, so we kind of like investigative reporting kind of thing. So, but it was really cool because there I learned aerial yoga. I was able to learn basabue, which is like an equestrian traditional martial arts in Korean. So in Korea, so I got to, you know, it's doing archery on horseback. So that was a lot of fun.
Interesting.
Yeah, I really love those things. But I was also studying stunt, so I know stage combat, action sequence, choreography. We can go. I'm ready.
You beat me up.
No, maybe. But I choreograph action sequences as well. So there's a group called The Collective that did a stage show, Romeo and Juliet. I choreographed all the action sequences for that. There's Soul Players here, which is community theater. And they have a 10-minute play festival every year, annual. So one year I was in it and I choreographed action sequence, and for our show we had pirates, this whole action sequence. And then the following year there was Soledad, and that had it was more like a torture sequence that was in there, so I choreographed that as well. And that was a lot of fun. I don't know if you're familiar with Seoul Action School. It's in Paju, but it's one of the biggest stunt companies in Korea.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went and trained there for quite a while. And then I did some children's musical theater, not just from the company I was with, but another company as well. The company I was working for was Disney's World of English. And it's clientele, is not open to the public.
I see.
Yeah, because the basis of it is an English learning program. So the kids are learning English with Disney characters. And then when we go to perform, we're using the vocabulary and target language based on what they're learning in the product.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did that for about a year and some change. And yeah, that's about it. Like just hopping in and out when I can, doing what I can when I can, kind of thing.
Is there anything that you've learned over the course of the 7 years you've been here? Maybe something that you never knew that you'd encounter or learn moving to South Korea?
Something that I learned?
Yeah, that you probably was not expecting to learn.
To chill out.
Chill out. There's a drink in Japan called chill out.
Oh, is it? Does it help? Does it work?
It's very good.
Oh, good. Okay, that's exactly what it is. It's good, right? Chill out. Not being so uptight about everything. I'm learning not to be complacent. I've learned that it's very dangerous, complacency. I'm learning, and I think it's because I'm getting up in age, to not care as much about certain things. We were talking about that priority and giving a higher priority to things that matter versus things that don't matter, versus things that are very negative, that doesn't help anyone. And I think when I see other people who are just kind of floating and like fighting with that, sometimes I just want to hug them and be like, yo, chill out. It's okay. It'll be okay. And sometimes you don't feel like it's okay. You're like, what am I doing with my life? I woke up 7 years and I'm not in a movie with insert famous Korean singer here, a Korean actor here. And it's just like, what have I accomplished? What have I done? And it's very easy to do that. But knowing that it'll be okay. And how important community is. Community is so important. I probably wouldn't have been here today without my network of friends. I speak English. My network of friends, very diverse. And I think that's important too, to be very diversified. Everybody has different skill sets and things they have strengths and weaknesses, right? And I think it's gonna take all of us, to make very strong hold. Essentially. Okay. And I realized that diversity is very effective and necessary. I think those are the number one things. So just have a focus is very important as well. That's what I learned. Those few things.
How important do you think travel is?
So important. Go out. Get out.
What has travel done for you personally?
Travel has made me such a, I was always very bubbly, not airheaded, but my head was always in the clouds. That's just how I am.
Pretty close to the clouds.
I know, I've been happy this whole time. Hi. Travel has been important in showing you a lot of times what you learned was wrong. And I think that's why everyone should travel, but at the same time, coming from the 80s, and seeing all the young people traveling, I will say I am a little salty because we didn't have those opportunities.
Okay, I see.
So I was just like, you should have them. You have them. Take advantage of them. So I believe traveling is important in that it helps you unlearn and relearn, which is very important. You should always be willing to learn. You should always be willing to unlearn, which is number one. Information is always being updated. And you have to keep up to date with that information because otherwise you're spreading misinformation. And I think travel kind of helps you do that. Because then if I'm gonna go, and this is simple, if I'm gonna go to Japan and the trains used to work a different way, but now they work a new way, if I don't update my information, I'm gonna be completely lost. And what do? If you go to another country, what do you start doing? You start researching. And then you start learning. You're like, oh, it used to be this way, but it's this way. Oh, you used to be able to go this way, but you can't go this way. And you start to build. It actually starts changing the way you think, And I think that's why traveling is so important, because otherwise you can end up in some really bad situations. And so then on top of that, it teaches you a lot of survival skills, which and social skills, which is very important to being part of society. Part of society.
Okay. Right. Where can people find you online?
Where can people find me online? Everywhere. I've done so many collabs with people, but I'm still working on my channel. So my YouTube channel will be available starting next year, after Lunar New. Okay, I thought I was speaking another language. I'm sorry. In Lunar New Year, we're doing pre-production. We as an I am doing pre-production right now to talk about my experiences going to stunt school or working on Korean sets, or essentially what I've been doing in Korea, because I also work with the Ministry of Tourism. So I go out with a lot of and do a lot of events that are put on by the government and stuff like that. So I'll be talking a lot about that, and then moving forward to what I want to do in the future. And then you can find me on Instagram, Chelci Chuu. And you can also find me on YouTube, same, Chelci Chuu. I'll try to keep it consistent. Apparently, a good business plan is to make sure everything is consistent. So I'll keep it as Chelci Chuu.
All right, nice. Thank you, Chelci.
Of course.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and remember to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon for weekly videos on the Black experience across the globe. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye.